What's up, y'all? So today we are going to be building this RayTK scene, and just a little overview. It's a super simple patch with a lot of post-processing. So let's get into it. Cool, so let's go ahead, drag RayTK into TouchDesigner if you haven't done that already. And we are gonna go ahead and open up our palette, and we are gonna grab a Raymarch render. It's so little. And we're gonna hook that up to an RGB key and a null. And turn our viewer on. Split our screen here so we can see what we're doing. And then go ahead and grab a constant chop just to be able to set your resolution quickly. So we're going to call this res X, we'll call this one res Y, and I'm going to set mine to 1920 by 1080. And turn my viewer on and drag and drop that into my resolution and my Raymarch render. Cool, so now we are going to use Alt-Shift-R to open up the menu, I guess, for the Raymarch render, and we're going to grab a fisheye camera, and we're going to grab a point light from there as well. And let's go ahead and go to our fisheye camera here and change our aperture to 0.312. And for our point light, we are going to change our Y position to 1 and our X position to 2. So the first thing that we're going to hook up to our render is going to be a box frame SDF. So go ahead and drop that in and hook it up to your render and drag it back. Give yourself some room. And we're going to leave this on all the default settings. And there he is. And we're going to hook our box frame here up to a modulo 1D. So hook that up to the first input, and then to your render. And let's go ahead and change the axis to Z. Keep the size at 1. Our offset is going to be -0.4. And our shift is going to be -0.07. We're going to put our mirror type onto mirror, and this is really important. I forgot this when I was trying to film this last time. We're going to turn our limit on. That's just going to keep our SDF from breaking apart and giving us some weird noise in the background there. So go ahead and just turn your limit on. Now we're going to grab a bend out of our palette, hook that up to our first input and then to the render. And in our bend, we are going to bend it along the Y axis towards the Z and keep everything else the same. Now we're going to go ahead and grab a radial clone. Oops. And in our radial clone here, we are going to change keep our axis at Z, sorry. And turn our count down to 3. And for our angle offset, we're going to animate that with ABS time.seconds multiplied by 10. And then for our merge type, we're going to change it to stair union. Our merge radius is going to be 0.15. Our merge number will be 4. And we are going to animate our merge offset with ABS time.seconds times 0.01. Wonderful. Now go ahead, open up your palette again, and drop in a twist. Already got some really nice movement happening there. So for our twist, we're gonna twist that around the the Z axis, and then we are gonna animate our shift with an LFO. So go ahead and grab an LFO. And on our LFO, we're gonna change our frequency way down to 0.008. And then from there, go ahead and hook your LFO up into a math. Go to your range, change your from range to -1, and your to range to -4 and 4. So your from range should be -1 to 1, and your to range should be -4 to +4. Hook that up to a null, turn your viewer on, and then drop that onto our shift. Nice. So next thing we're going to do is open up our palette and grab a mirror octant. And we're going to hook that up just like this. And we're going to change our axis here to ZX, and then we're going to change our X offset to 1.5. And then animate our rotate axis with ABS time dot seconds multiplied by 5. Sick. That looks sick so far. Now we're going to open up our palette once again, and we are going to grab another mirror octant. And we're going to hook that up. And for our second mirror octant, we are going to change... Ooh, that looks really cool. Just as is. Sick. But anyway, we're going to change our axis on our second mirror octant to ZX, and we're going to bring the size all the way down to 0.1. And then we are going to animate our rotate axis here with ABS time dot seconds times -5. So now we got some really nice motion in both directions here. But as you can see there, our camera keeps getting whopped by our box frame. So one thing we can do, oops, oh no, my bad. So one thing we can do to keep our SDF from yeeting our camera here is go ahead and grab a sphere, shoop, from our palette, and hook it up to a combine, and hook our sphere up to the first input, mirror octant to the second, and then up to our render. And this just protects the camera and keeps the SDF from crashing into it. So let's change our sphere X translate to 1.1 and turn our radius all the way up to 1. And then we're going to go back to our combine here, and we are going to change our combine to simple difference, and sorry, I didn't do anything there. And we're going to hook that up, simple difference, and then we are going to swap inputs. So now nothing crashes into our camera. Love that. Almost creates a little bubble around it. So I'm going to give myself a little bit more space here and back this up. So now we are going to open our palette again and drag and drop a modular mat in. So first thing we're going to grab is a rim contribute. We are going to hook that up to second input. And on our rim contribute here, we are going to change our thickness to 0.367. And then turn your blending all the way up to 1. So that's starting to look good. And the second thing we're going to hook up to our modular mat here is going to be a specular contribute. So go ahead, hook that up to the third input. And in our specular here, we are going to turn our color value down to 0.3. keep our method on GGX, keep our roughness at 0.5, and turn our Fresnel all the way up to 1. So we're starting to get some metallic-y look here, but there's still some like noisy bits around the edges here. So that's what we're gonna fix now. So that's it for our little RayTK patch here. So now what we're gonna do, here comes the more complicated part. Give yourself a lot of room here. Oh, and one thing we forgot here. So go back to your fisheye camera and change your Z position to 2. Nice. Okay. So let's go on to our post-processing here. Try to stay with me here. Things get a little complicated. I confused myself doing this, so it'll be fine. We're going to figure it out together. So we are going to open up our palette here, and we are going to grab a depth map, and the third output of our RayMarch render, hook that up to our depth map, and then we are going to just click pulse real quick here, turn our gamma all the way up to 3, and then grab a level top, and here in our level top we're going to go ahead and clamp our input, turn our invert all the way up to 1, turn our black level to 0.64, brightness down just a hair to 0.8, gamma down just a hair to 0.95, and our contrast up to 1.05. So now we are gonna hook our level up to a comp, and then hook the output of our render up to that comp as well. And here, make sure you swap your inputs so your level will be the second input and what's coming out of your RayMarch render will be the first. And we're going to change our operation mode to a top. So it should look something like this. So it's starting to look more metallic. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to hook our comp up to an edge. And in our edge here, we are going to turn our sample step up to 1.5. And yeah, that's going to vibe just like that. And now let's go ahead and grab a ramp. And in our ramp, we're going to drag and drop our resolution from our constant shop. Oops. When you're dragging and dropping, make sure you always have this on like chop reference. And then on your ramp, go ahead and change the type to radial, and we are going to animate our phase here with ABS time.seconds times 0.05. And then change our extend left to mirror, our extend right to mirror, and our interpolate notches as ease in, ease out. And we're going to turn dithering on as well. And go ahead and just pick your colors. I'm going to do different colors than what I did last time. I think last time I did just like a straight up rainbow. I'm going to change it up this time. Cool. So that's what we're working with here. These are the colors that I picked. And I hate this like line thing here. So we're gonna get rid of that by changing our Y position to 0.5. So it just like moves it up off the screen where it can be ugly somewhere else. Cool. So next thing we are gonna do is hook our ramp and our edge up to another composite top. with our ramp as our first input, edge is our second, and with this, we are going to keep the operation mode at multiply. So now we're going to build our first feedback loop. So we're going to hook our comp that we just put in, it's comp 2, up to a feedback top. And then we're going to hook that feedback top up to a displace. And plug our feedback into the first and the second inputs of our displace. And we're going to turn our source midpoint down to 0.3. Our displace weight down to 0.003. And that's it for that one. So then hook your displace up to a level. And in your level, head over the post tab and turn your opacity down to 0.8. Now we are going to hook that level up to a comp, and then hook comp 2 to comp 3. We are going to change our operation mode to over, and then we are going to drag and drop comp 3 onto our feedback top. And if you need to, move your null and your RGB key over some more so you have enough space. So now we are going to hook comp 3 up to another comp. And for our first input to comp 4, it's going to be comp 3. And then for our second input, connect your edge top and set your operation mode to maximum. And you go ahead and just like press C on your keyboard. You get this little color palette, and I have to color code all my comps in this just so I don't lose track of where I am. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's just hook that up to our render just to see what that looks like. Gross, I hate it. Let's keep going. So let's go ahead and build our second feedback loop. So going back to comp 2, hook that up to a feedback top. Hook that feedback top up to a displace. Connect it to both inputs there. And for this displace, we are going to turn our displace weight down to 0.001. And that's it for that one. So then we're going to plug it into a level top. And then head over to the post tab and change our opacity to 0.9. I need to give myself some more space here, so I'm going to move that up. Oh no. So then we're going to hook our level up to another comp. And then hook comp 2 up to comp 5 here. And we're going to set this operation mode to over and drag and drop that onto our second feedback. So looks something like that. And then just for being able to reset your feedback loop, grab a keyboard in and drag and drop it onto the reset pulse of both of your feedbacks, so you can easily reset that. So let's go down to comp 4, our red comp. So for this guy, we are going to hook that up to another comp. I'm going to color this comp orange. And then we're going to hook the output of our render up there, and then we're going to swap them. So your red comp 4, should be your second input, and then your render should be your first input. and we're going to set that operation mode to over. So now we are going to connect comp 5, so that's the comp on our second feedback loop, our higher up feedback loop. We're going to hook that comp up to, you guessed it, another comp, and I'm going to color this comp yellow. And for this one, hook our orange comp up and then swap your inputs. So comp 5 will be your second input, orange comp 6 will be your first input, and then we're going to keep the operation mode set to multiply. So now we are going to hook our yellow comp up to another comp, and then I'm going to color this comp green, and then we're going to hook our orange comp up as well. So yellow comp is first, orange comp is second, and our operation mode here is going to be add. So let's see how we're looking now. Okay, it's starting to look better. It's starting to look like it glows. We're getting there, so I don't want to look at it though. So now we are going to hook another comp up to our green comp. And I'm going to color this comp blue. And green comp is going to be hooked up there. And then again, you're going to grab the output of your render, hook that up there. So for our blue comp, we're going to swap our inputs again. So your green comp will be 2, and your render output should be 1, and operation mode for this one is going to be color. Let's check out how this looks now. Nice. Okay, cool. So now we're starting to get that nice like glowy effect. So the next thing that we're going to do here is we are going to hook blue comp up to a Luma blur, and we're going to hook it up to both inputs of our Luma blur and keep it all in the default settings there. And then we're going to hook our Luma blur up to a bloom. I love a bloom, truly. I feel like I probably overdo it with a bloom, but that's okay. Bloom to your heart's content. So now we are going to hook our bloom up to a comp. It's the last comp, I swear. And then our Luma blur up. And on this comp, we are going to make sure we swap our inputs. So our Luma blur will be our first input, and our bloom top will be our second input, and our operation mode here will be maximum. And then let's hook that up. See how it looks. Cool. Cool. So we're really close to the end here. Just a final little tweak, because this is like too bright and blown out for my taste. Do whatever you want, but yeah, that's how I feel about that. So let's go ahead, let's grab a level and hook that up. And in our level, we are going to turn our black level up to 0.1, turn our brightness down to 0.88, and we're going to leave everything else the same. And you can move these guys back because I need to have my operators organized in a certain way. But that's it. So that's what we're working with here. Like I said, it's a super, super simple like RayTK patch setup over here with a lot of post-processing. Yeah, so we have this like glowy, metallic, I don't know if this counts as a fractal, it looks kind of fractal-y type thing. Yeah, and I'm stoked with how this turned out. I think it's a lot of fun. It's something that just keeps on being entertaining when you look at it, and if you wanted to do more with this, you definitely could set up audio reactivity for it, or maybe play around here and throw in some more like bends or twists or some other SDFs and just kind of seeing what you end up with there. Or even just playing more with your material. You really didn't have to do all this post-processing. The post-processing was, like, honestly more complicated than it needed to be, and I don't know if I, like, negated itself by using so many different comps and feedback loops, but I don't know, I'm stoked with how it turned out, and yeah. Cool, so thanks for hanging out with me, and have fun building this. I don't know, if you built it, tag me in it. crystalbeth.art on Instagram. I would love to see if you did something with this patch, so yeah. Cool.